Kinuma nnyo nti Dr. Kizza Besigye omukulembeze omaze emyaka mingi ng'anoonya eddembe, ng'anoonya obwenkanya mu Uganda, ng'amobilizinga abantu, ayimirira mu bululu ne bamubba n'addamu. Kaakati bamusibyeko era emisango nga gye baamusibako edda egy'okukolagana n'abatemu nti boonoone bateekeko enkyukakyuka eyo a violent path. He's not a violent man. He rejected a violent path. He's been working for democracy and human rights. Naye ebyobululu yalaba nti engeri gye bategekamu obululu si amazima, n'abivaamu eby'okuyimirira n'asalawo nti kakole n'abantu abaabulijjo beekalakaase bakyuse gavumenti mu ngeri eyo eya non-violence, engeri eya nga Gandhi e India, nga Martin Luther King e America, nga abalala abaagezaako okuteekako enkyukakyuka nga bamobilizinga abantu kyabaddemu. Naye kirabika abantu ba security ne bakama baabwe baasalawo katunoonye ekkubo tumusibeko omusango nti ayagala kuwamba gavumenti ng'akozesa ebyemmundu. Si mazima nkimanyi nti bw'afuna omukisa okwewozawo mu kkooti eya civilian mujja kulaba nti egyo emisango ng'egyo edda gye bamusibako kkooti ejja kukisuula.
Honorable Byanyima, Dokita yava mu byobululu n'agamba takyabikkiririzaamu, n'agamba nti ebyo byobululu mbikole, n'agamba abantu nti n'ebyemmundu sibikkiririzaamu. Muwaatu akyawo oguba gusigadde wakati.
People rising, abantu okwekalakaasa. Era twakiteeka ne mu constitution. You remember nange nali mu kukola constitution ne Kano Kizza Besigye. Twali tumanyi nti n'obwo omukisa gw'okukola constitution n'eyo plan ey'okuzza Uganda mu democracy yava mu kumobilizinga abantu ne bateekako olutalo olw'abantu. So ebyo by'entalo nga tetukyabyagala, naye mu constitution ekuteeka mu ky'abantu bwe baba balaba nti okulonda tekukola, gavumenti si y'amazima, tenoonyezebwa bantu, bayinza bo bennyini okwekalakaasa ne bagijjako. Constitution ekikiriza eky'abantu bo bennyini okumobilizinga ne bagaana gavumenti ne bagigaana ne bagijjako mu ngeri y'abantu okwekalakaasa nga bw'olaba revolutions, people's revolutions. Kikirizibwa. So naye abadde asomesa abantu tumubeere ready, mubeere organized, temutya, muveeyo nga biri ebya walk to work, nga okumobilizinga abantu bagende ku palamenti bademonstrating, balage palamenti tebabakkirizamu, bagende buli wonna we baagala bagendeyo beekalakaasa. Eyo ngeri gy'abadde afokasingamu. Era ne kati oba omulaba bino ebyobululu tabigendamu, naye agenda nga yeetooloola ng'amobilizinga abantu mu districts kukola branch zaabwe, kwekalakaasa, kwogera, kwerwanako. Ebyo byabaddemu. Era ne kaakati gurupu ye beewandiikisa ekibiina ekipya nga kikoleramu eyo enkola.
Honorable Byanyima, okozeeko n'abantu abali mu buyinza olwaleero, obamanyi some of them at a very personal level, okoze nabo, oweereza nabo. njagala kutunuulira Dr. Besigye atanoonya kalulu. Dr. Besigye taatandiseewo kibiina kya buyeekera oba yadduse mu ggwanga. Lwaki obudde buno gavumenti yandibadde etya Besigye egambe nti owaayi oyo omusajja mumukwate olwaleero? Why now? Why him again?
Peter, I'm not in the minds of Kizza Besigye's tormentors. I do not know why they do what they do. But what I see is that increasingly there is less tolerance of different opinions. That when you express disagreement, you're quickly seen as an enemy. You are quickly criminalized. I mean, I see what is happening around, and it's concerning. You see young people who want to come out on the streets to voice, to say we are fed up, we don't have jobs. You see them being beaten and roughed up. So are those going to overthrow the government? No, but they have a point to make about their pain. So opportunities for people to challenge, question the government are fewer and fewer, and we are seeing a government that's less and less tolerant. That's all I can say, that is less tolerant. And I think what he's experiencing, others are also experiencing, other parties, no other groups, even NGOs.
Honorable wakyalidde Doctor n'omulaba ekifaananyi ky'abamumanyi babuuza ali mu mbeera ki at a very social level. I must confess mukwano gwange naye njagala kubuuza ali mu mbeera ki? Omuntu ali eyayagala kubuuza Doctor ali mu mbeera ki? Mugumu, yatendewaliddwa, simumanyi ng'omuti omuntu atya naye ali mu mbeera ki? Omuntu alaba, omuntu awuliriza amanyikiza Besigye leero bw'oba oyogera naye omugamba nti Doctor ali mu mbeera ki?
Weesiimye mattu oli wa mukisa okukira abalala. Omugugu gw'ebizibu by'ettaka gukutikuddwa Brand Property Services Limited ku lw'ettaka eritaliiko nkaayana. Ennyumba eziwedde okuzimbibwa wamu n'ez'okupangisa, apartments ez'okupangisa wamu n'okugula mu mawanga ag'enjawulo okuli Uganda, Kenya, Bungereza, Dubai, America wamu ne Canada. Okuddaabiriza ennyumba oba ebizimbe byo, property management n'abasaveya abakugu abataakufere. Twekwate ku nsonga zonna ezeekuusa ku by'ettaka nga kw'otadde n'okugobera ku kyapa kyo. Kati pazo y'eby'ettaka ebadde okukaluubiriza egonjoddwa bw'okwataganye naffe. Tukubire ku noti 703 noti 79 oba noti 773 noti oba otusange ku MT House omwaliiro ogusooka room 5 ewazana ku Entebbe Road okuliraana ekizimbe kya Muguluma Empire. Tukyalireko ne ku website yaffe www.brandpro.co.ug. Brand Pro Property Services Limited, tutuukiriza birooto.
Doctor Ali, I have to say this in English, he's in good spirits. Kwegamba mentally ali strong, amanyi nti ali innocent, amanyi okugumiikiriza embeera y'ekkomera, asula ku floor kafalisa akali thinnest, tebamukiriza pika mattress, era ne lwaleero ngenda kugula suuka nsindikeyo. So conditions z'obusibe si nnungi, naye yamanyi okugumiikiriza, muntu mugumu. Ekirala kyendaba takyalina maanyi ng'edda, akuze, simwagaliza kubeera mukomera. Nandyagadde nti bamuwe beiru akomewo awaka awoleze emisango gye waka. At least bakimanyi mu gavumenti nti Dr. Kizza Besigye tajja kudduka.
Abaddewo
era nsabye balooya be basabe beiru ajje wano waka, batwetoolodde bulijjo bateekako ne poliisi ku geeti abaagala bateekeko naye bamuleke abeere waka bamulabirira waka.
Omulundi ogwasembayo okukwata Dr. Kizza Besigye bwe bamutwala e Kawamojja yagaana okumuleeta okufuula amaka ge prison.
Ojjukira bulungi.
Omulundi ogwo neera yagaana okusaba bbeeyi n'agamba nti yayagala awoze omusango gwe. Kyanjawulo omulundi guno?
Kyanjawulo kubanga olwo baali baagala okufuna olukusa lwe okumusibira awaka. Baali bamuwaddeyo option tukusibira awaka nga tebaagala nakuwoza kubanga yali talina musango, ng'alaba nti bagenda musibira wano bamugaana okukola emirimu gye. N'agaana agamba nti katuwoze. Manga yali abalaba kyekigenderwa nga kiri ekyo. Kaakati era ayagala kuwoleza mu kooti eya civilian si amagye. Era bwe ŋŋamba nti bamuwe bbeeyi akomewo awaka, sigamba nti babiveeko bamusibire awaka omusango gubeerawo nga alina omusango naye nga tawoza. Ayagala kuwoza naye ayagala kubeera awaka.
Ate ayagala kuwoleza mu civil court.
Civil court kikulu nnyo kubanga eyo kooti ey'amagye. Kankubuulire kooti ey'amagye abaloya bagamba ngu he who alleges must prove. Ate mu kooti eya civilian the burden of proof is to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Standard ya proof eri waggulu nnyo okusinga nnyo ku misango gino egya criminal which can cost you your life. You must prove beyond reasonable doubt, because if you don't and you convict someone and you kill them, later on you found you were not right, you can't bring them back. So that burden of proof is the highest. Now mukote y'amagye is not there. Burden of proof eri wansi. Actually in the military often you are guilty and you prove yourself innocent, something like that. Really their burden of proof is low and they can convict you. And they do that because they are in very dangerous conditions of fighting wars and so on. But he's not fighting a war. He's not a soldier. And there's a law which is clear, Constitutional Court ya Kisarawo. If you are a civilian, you should not be tried in a civilian court, in a military court. So because the crimes they are accusing him are so serious, we trust that in the civilian court, he will prove his innocence. Naye one, even the panel who are judging, you don't have to be lawyers. Yeah, soldiers. So you see, this is just another way of deciding that he's guilty and putting him somewhere where you can get a verdict of guilty.
Honorable, oyogedde ne doctor wamulabye otugambye emirundi ebiri sofa awuliriza ayagala okumanya ekifaananyi. Doctor bamukwata batya okumutuusa mu mbeera eno? Yazuukuka n'atuuka mu hoteeri nga bamulumbye, yakugambye yagenda okulaba nga abantu abamanyi tabamanyi, because ekifaananyi kisigala kiri hazy. Ate eri ebweru I am sure byempulidde obiwulidde, the propaganda audios or AI generated audios. Nalabyeyo omuntu eyatugambye nti bwe yagezeseza audio gye yawulidde in an AI tester ng'emugamba erina very high percentage of being AI generated. Siri mukugu mweyo industry. Naye gwe atudde w'otudde yayogedde ne doctor. What's his story?
Siri mukugu nange mu bya IT. Naye obwo video nange nabuwulidde. obuvidiyo obusimanyi bu audio obu audio obwo nange nabuwulidde kyembuulira abawuliriza bo kino musabe Katonda ate mwogere mu advocate speak up Dr. afune chansi ye kuyumirira mu kooti ya Uganda eya civilian kwewozako obwo bu audio bulabika bakwatakwatamu perhaps ng'alina conversation n'omuntu ku bintu birala ne basalamu obutundutundu obw'okulaga nti mulabe wa Uganda naye tetuwulidde conversation namba era olaba nti aba IT bagamba nti ate balabamu okuzanyisa technology tuyinza kuba twogera kati omuntu n'afuna teepu n'agitwala n'owulira eddoboozi lyange nga byenjogera ate ebirala
ng'osaba mundu
ng'ebyo oba nga oluusi twogera ebintu bingi omuntu n'asalamu akatundu n'akawa meaning endala kubanga towulidde conversation yonna okiraba so bw'ogenda osalasala conversation y'omuntu n'ogatagata oyinza kugikyusa n'ebeera ekintu ekirala ate n'amaloboozi kati bagakyusakyusa omuntu ayinza okutwala eddoboozi lyo n'akuwa ebigambo ebirala so saagala abantu babikirizemu ze mbiganye manyi nze kyambuulidde yagenda n'acekinga mu hoteeri ng'alina munne Haji Obed Mutale Kamulegeya ng'alina omuntu gw'ayagala okulaba yali agenze ku meeting ey'ekitabo Martha Karua ng'afulumya kitabo kipya ku Sunday n'agenda ku Saturday n'acekinga mu hoteeri ng'alina omuntu yali amuyise nti boogeremu ng'ayagala kuwagira kibiina kyaffe mu bya mobilization bwe yatuukayo ye ne Obedi bwe yatuukayo n'asanga nga bamutezi kyogera it was a trap kutega ali omuntu ali mu room oyo baali babiri omu nga tamumanyi omu nga yamumanyi ng'alina emundu bbiri nga ku mmeeza n'amugamba nti tuyinza okubayamba dokita yali anoonya ssente za kukola mobilization n'essente tulina ate n'emundu tulina n'abagamba nti embundu ngaffe tetuzeetaaga zino mbundu zo tetuzeetaaga awo nga bakyayogera wayingiramu abantu 8 nga bambadde civilian nga bagamba nti bo poliisi ya Kenya we yaggulawo oyo omusajja gwe yali amanyi omuzungu n'abaggulira ne bayingira ate ye n'afuluma n'abula
ye tebaamukwata
yabula kasita bano bwe bayingira n'agenda ne basigala n'omuntu omulala nga tebamumanyi n'okumumanyi kubanga oli yali agambye nti agenda kuleeta munne n'ekitongole kyabwe ekikola ku by'okuyamba ebibiina mobilization democracy building omusajja omu n'atoloka omu n'asigalamu bano 8 bonna ne batwala oyo omusajja omulala bonna ne babayingiza mu motoka ne babavuga ne babaleeta wano kusooka baali bagamba nti Bakenya naye bwe baatuuka mu kubo ate ne batandika okwogera olunyankole nga tebannatuuka ku booda owulira nga beerabidde
oba bannakenya abamanyi olunyankole
ekyo nakyo tuyinza okukyetegereza simanyi bwe baatuuka e Uganda ne bayita ku booda nga tebayimiridde ne batuuka ku police station munda bayita Busia ne bayimirira akadrone ne kajja ne kabajjako ne kabatwala e Makindye. Eyo story bwe bamukwata naye kituufu eyamuyita yali planted kumusibako emundu n'essente balaga nti yali ayagala byakulwanyisa ggwanga ate nga kikituufu baali bamuwaddeyo contact y'oyo muzungu nti balina ekitongole balina ku website nti bakola bya democracy bawagira ebibiina mu ngeri ya okuzimba pawa y'ebibiina.
Abalungi abatuwuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tukyaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo nsanyuse okubalaba. Amannya agange Yezeseeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde tumusomereddwa tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala. Neetaase enamba yange yeeno eri 0707763711. Nammwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu viza zibuze amaka gakolongotana sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go ebyo byokka bijja kummala nja kukulombera edduwa ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa ey'awamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kuyingira n'alaba omusajja n'alabamu emundu bbiri. Omusajja n'amugamba laba kwatako olabe n'emundu. Naye obundu bwammwe tetubwetaaga ate n'okuba bukadde tetubwetaaga. Yali tamusabye emundu naye omusajja yajja n'emundu n'aziteekawo n'amuyingiza n'amugamba ziizino n'amugamba ng'akyayogera poliisi oba poliisi baali basajja nnaana bantu ne bayingira nti Bakenya. Oli abaggulira n'adduka n'agenda. Bwebityo bwe byagenda.
Ampuliriza Lutindo Radio Simba mpita kibazo ndina Honorable Engineer Winnie Byanyima tuli Kasangati mu maka ga Dr. Kiza Besigye. Honorable Byanyima ngenda ku muteeko okuddako kino gwe ali ku level ya UN. Oluvannyuma lw'akalulu ka 2016 twafuna abantu wano ab'enjawulo abayogera ne Dr. Kiza Besigye. Abamu baali ba situation room, abamu baali ba women's group nga bagamba nti oba oliawo Uganda eri mu bulumi obw'ekitalo. Tutuuse Uganda etuule ku mmeeza somewhere twogere ku Uganda. Nafuna interview ne Dr. Besigye oluvannyuma enfunda nnyingi nga nti nze ne bagamba nali candidate wa FDC boogere ne FDC. Enjogeraganya ezo zaakola musinga. The long and short of it, it never materialized into anything. As Winnie Byanyima, do you think we are at that crossroad point where Ugandans need to sit at a table with the regime, with anyone that matters, to discuss Uganda and where we are headed to?
You asked well. Our politics are corrupt and violent, and they are bringing us leaders who are corrupt and also violent in their language, violent in the way they conduct public issues. We really need a reset. And I think that idea from the Situation Room was a good one. I too tried to get political groups, not actually groups. For me, I tried to encourage both sides, both the NRM side and FDC. I think this is after 2016 elections, to come together in the interest of the country, to have a mediated, moderated discussion to reset our politics, not to make a government together, because there are different parties. We must get used to one party coming in and one coming out, but to reset the rules of the game, to get the army out of elections, to have a transparent process, non-violent process to choose our leaders. And I blame both sides. Actually, I think that the opportunity was lost because, I mean, if I'm honest, I really blame the opposition here. They are the ones who didn't want to get into a discussion. And it is time to rethink, because if we do not reset, we are degenerating, and we are going to end up with perhaps maybe a military coup, I don't know. But whatever the case, the cost is already too high. Our young people who try to express their strong opposition and their resentment of the conditions they live in get abducted, get beaten up. Look at how the parliament debates. It's not a respectable place to be. You have people there who just talk rough and who fight. I think they even have physical fights there. How can you be making public policy decisions on development in that kind of way?
They need gloves.
First of all, they are like, I don't know how many hundreds of them are there.
Past 500.
There you are. They really don't seem to have a thorough process of debate and decision making. They get up and just talk, and then, I mean, it's too flawed a process to make important decisions about the lives of our people, the education of our children, the health of people. It's a farce. It's not serious. So we need to reset. We need to reset and draw them up again of how we choose leaders and how those leaders work and make decisions. Even the fact that we now have ministers who don't seem to own policy areas. They don't seem to own their policy. They cannot give you a firm answer to a question. I've hardly seen any of them even make a press conference. Have you?
Not lately.
No, but normally in a democracy, if you have an important policy position, you go out and speak. Most ministers in the countries I am in will be making a statement of either progress in some work, almost like every week, telling the public what they are doing. Here, hardly anything.
Honorable Byanyima, ofuna omukisa gwenkana ki okwogera ne ba political players mu Uganda beyond Dr. Kizza Besigye? Dr. Kizza Besigye manyi kiyinza okukaluba nti obeera okomyewo waka. Neighbor political players in Uganda on both sides of the aisle.
No, I don't meet them a lot. I don't have opportunity. I'm working. I have a busy job. I travel all over the world, so I don't get to see them. But I follow. As a concerned Ugandan, I follow. I read the papers. I read different sites. I listen to the news. I follow closely, but I don't have that chance to meet them.
Olowooza nti omukisa gwe twafiirwa mu 2016 gw'oyogeddeko nti maybe it was a window of opportunity, twetaaga abantu bafaanana ki abalala abasobola okureignitinga, kubanga okulonda tukkiriza nti buli court ruling gye tubadde nayo mu kulonda egambye nti tetubadde na kulonda kwa mazima na bwenkati. In as far as court rulings are concerned, abantu ababadde mu kalulu bonna bavaayo nga beekunkumula. Juzi President Museveni yatugambye nti baamubba. You might have missed that. Naye aga nti naye obululu bwe baabubba. Abantu bwe banga bali ku level nga bonna baga nti okwokulonda, including head of state, gwe twandibagambye nti ye beneficiary w'okulonda okwo, baga nti kuli fraud. Tusobola kufuna tutya omukisa nate abantu okutuula mu kisenge baga nti tutudde twogere ku Uganda bwenebe emyaka 10, 15, 20. It doesn't matter whether the players today will play again. Is that a possibility? Is that something that you can champion?
Of course. I mean, we Ugandans are very smart people. We can turn our country around if we want to. But we have a situation where let me put it this way. It's a hard one now. You're really pushing me into a territory I don't want to go to. I have boundaries.
I know.
I try not to be partisan because I'm a United Nations very senior official and I'm required in every country, including Uganda, to be an arm's length from the contestation of politics. So I try not to be. But what I can
fully appreciated.
Yeah, but what I can say is that we are capable of turning this around and making our country have really a good process for choosing leaders and also change the processes of decision making so that they make good decisions, well thought out decisions, debated in a serious and honest way, and outcomes that will bring good results for our people, good education for our children, good health for people, good roads, all of that. But if we continue in this kind of way, where, first of all, the economy itself is not well managed, and because many actors are either on the take, corrupt, or are clueless about what they should be doing in the jobs they are in, if we continue down that path, no jobs will be created for young people. And you know, the result is that the government is the chief employer, chief procurer, and everybody's fighting for a space in the government to earn from government. Because we are not growing real jobs in the economy for people to take. So the result is this very, everybody greedy for a government job, a councillor, MP, and the pressure there, and then the poor management of elections, all that combination is that we don't get the leaders with whom we deserve. And when they come in, they don't do the job, they are on the take. They just want to make money. So I think we need, yes, to reset the rules, to extract the army and the security system out of politics, to have honest elections, and then to have people mobilized to insist on their priorities being served. We don't have that, but we can. I believe we can. I believe that the army has an important role here. They need to play a different role in the democracy, where they are not active in a partisan way, but where they are stepping back and letting the civilians choose their lead, the civilian population choose its civilian leaders. We need that that space for Ugandans themselves to choose who they want.
Ampuliriza Ray Simba, program lutindo olweggulo lwa leero. Peter Kibazo ne engineer Honorable Winnie Byanyima. Leero twakoledde Kasangati. Honorable Byanyima, bwe mmala okuwuliriza Uganda ey'ekirooto gy'oyogerako eri reset, nadde nzija producer wange ng'agamba nti ye ke yalabye katono nnyo. Ng'akaga nti Honorable Byanyima yagambye ayagala ku meeting nga President Museveni. Okay, interesting. Nga mukulembeze wa UN, nga mchala wa Dr. Besigye, nga munna Uganda, maybe omuwuliriza wa Simba yandiyagadde okuwulira eddoboozi lya Honorable Byanyima ku wabadde oyagala ku meeting nga Mwami Museveni. That's one. Or you said, if I met.
Abamawulire mwe temusoboka. Tubeetaaga naye oluusi mwonoona message. Ngaawo omuntu nze mbadde ngamba nti omuntu ambuuzizza nti wayogeddeko, oyinza okwogera ne president, wayogeddeko ne president, ne mugamba nti president si muntu mwangu kufuna. Nange ndi omu ku bantu 445,000 ndi omu ayagala kwogera ne president tamufuna.
Oli mukulembeze wa international agency.
Ekituufu kinyanguira okusinga omuntu owa bulijjo, ekyo sigaana. Naye nange sibeerawo nti nesimu njogedde ne president era neŋŋamba nti bwe mba nfunye chance nja gikozesa. I will reason with him kyenjogedde. I will reason with him. Njagala munnyonnyole Uganda olwo munnyonnyole okusooka ategeere nti Kizza Besigye naye liida nga ye byayagaliza eggwanga birungi ng'ebibye, naye okuvuganya ne president kuzibu kubanga abatakkirizanga naye abayisaamu ng'abalabe ku Uganda. Njagala ekyo ekintu liiso ku liiso mubuulire ategeere nti politics za Uganda yalina okulaba nti engeri gy'akolamu ya mirembe. Akozese agire, he should have respect for the opposition. He should allow space for the opposition to challenge, and he should be ready to lose if people decide that they want to change. He should be ready to step aside. He used to say that. When we came to power, I was with him. We are his supporters, Besigye and I, and we're saying that at a certain time he will retire and we are working towards good elections and good transitions. So I would like him to reflect on that. I really would. And I would like him not to continue seeing enemies in anyone who disagrees with him.
Honorable Winnie, kino kyenkubuuza abantu buli lwe kigira kiti kikomawo. Winnie Byanyima bamuzaala mu family eyali abufuzi. I had the opportunity to visit Ruti.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Yes, I did. I visited Chairman a number of times with UID.
You were a UID.
I related with them.
I was also a DPU.
Yes.
Once upon a time.
Okoze ne NRM, ne NRA, ne FDC. Bw'ozibirira ebeerayo moment gy'olowooza nti onookomawo okukola ebyobufuzi mu Uganda. Beyond the international job that you're doing now, is that a fault?
I see myself, of course, retiring from that service. I've been serving globally, and it has been an honor, privilege to serve in such an important role. I believe I'm really the first Ugandan who's led a United Nations entity at the level of Under-Secretary General. The only other Under-Secretary General we had was Olaro, but he was just an advisor to the Secretary General. He didn't have an entity that he ran. So I'm honored to have been chosen by the Secretary General. Again, I want to correct that. I do hear people saying President Museveni seconded you. He did not even endorse. It's not like that. I'm appointed by the Secretary General.
That's important. That's important because the talk around has been that Olaro Tunu never had opportunity because the government of Uganda said no to Olaro Tunu. And Winnie Byanyima, either they looked the other side or endorsed. It's important for you to speak to it.
I mean, people just like to talk.
Maybe it's a lack of information.
Say, yeah, because Olaro Tunu was an advisor to the Secretary General at a level of Under Secretary General. He was appointed in that role. Uganda was not asked, can Olaro Tunu be Under Secretary General? No. He was appointed there. But if you want to be Secretary General, that's an elected office. That one, governments nominate their candidate. Just like all in politics, when you're going to be elected, someone nominates you, someone seconds you, and others vote. So when he wanted to be Secretary General, he had to have a country to nominate him and another one to second him, and then others vote. That's what it means to be nominated and to be seconded. You are going for an elective role.
Political.
No.
Largely.
Even mine is political, but it's not elected. You see? I am at the level of a political role, appointed role, not elected role. It's like the president appoints his ministers, but they are not elected ministers.
True.
So there's something different between being elected and also being appointed. Both of you can be in the political role, but you come through election or you come through appointment. I came, now to go back to Olarotun, he wanted to be elected Secretary General, to be the top boss.
The topmost.
You must be nominated by a country. You must be seconded by another country. Uganda could not nominate him because he was a dissident. He was in exile. So he got Cote d'Ivoire to nominate him. Right?
Yes.
So that is the Olara story. Now for me, but the same Olara was appointed under Secretary General. For that one, he didn't need Uganda's permission. He was just appointed. This is the same role I'm in. I am appointed. I am not nominated. I am not seconded. What people...
And you do not need the endorsement of Uganda.
Zero for my role. But listen, this is what happens. When the Secretary General is appointing for roles like mine, an entity to head an organization of the United Nations, our organizations have donors.
Yes.
For example, mine, UNAIDS, which I head, 40% of our budget is from the United States of America, right? The other 60% is from about 7 or 8 other countries. So 10 countries fund almost all the work we do in the whole world. Now, when he's going to appoint someone to head an organization, he wants to be sure that, one, the donors support his decision because he wants them to put their money behind that person. So he would usually, in appointed positions, we compete. So I competed. Well, in the competition, actually, I was encouraged to compete by civil society. Not my government. Some people, it's their governments which tell them, you put in your name, we are going to support you. And they go out campaigning for them. No, me, it was international and national NGOs who said, Winnie, we want you in that role. And who are the ones who went around asking the board, it is the board which appoints. It's not the board which appoints, the board recommends Secretary General. But we were taken through a technical process of interviews. More than 500 people applied.
Wow.
Yes. They brought it down to a short list of those to be interviewed. I was thoroughly interviewed by a very technical committee. After that interview, 5 of us names were brought to the board. The board.
That's 0.5% of the 500.
Yes, the board of my organization has like 25 board members, countries who sit on the board, plus some NGOs. They were given 5 names, right? That board then approved the 5 names, and then they selected 3 to go to the Secretary General for final decision. Of the three, actually, one was an American.
Wow.
Yes. One was an American, one was a South African, and me. Secretary General chose me. Now, you can say, he didn't choose an American, even though Americans give 40% of the budget. Uganda gives nothing, zero. So
we receive
instead. So, but still he chose me. Then he made a call to the United States government to say to them, sorry to disappoint you, I have chosen someone else. Because this person was a staff, a civil servant in the American system. He said, sorry, I'm not choosing your candidate. And then he called like 4 other leaders just to inform them, a courtesy to inform them. He called our president. He called another president in this region, but I'm not going to tell you who. And I can
Do you want me to guess?
No, I will not let you guess. But I can also tell you that president objected to my candidature. Yes.
Okay.
At that time, that government was not friendly to Uganda. And he said,
my guess was right.
He said, I don't think you should choose her. You should choose somebody else. But he said, well, thank you, I've heard you. Right? And then he called some other donor government to say, here is the person I've chosen. And then he appointed me. He doesn't have to. It's a courtesy. He does not have, but he wants to
That's
hear.
the best bit of this interview for me. Because that story, ampuliriza eyo story ebadde ekozesebwa emirundi mingi ku Dr. Besigye. Dr. Besigye ali wano atulaga nti mukakaalukanyi wa byabufuzi tebakolagana na government. President Museveni yalonda mukyala we afune omulimu mu UN. Honorable Byanyima, I think that's one of the best bits of this interview for me.
I have to say that President Museveni did not object to my candidature. But even if he had objected, it wouldn't stop the Secretary General from appointing me. Because like I said, courteously, he calls a number of leaders to tell them of his decision. He has already decided. And he listens to them just to know how they feel about this, either because they are donors or because the candidate is from that country or because he wants the region to accept the person. He just makes a call. But if you don't agree, he doesn't have to agree with you.
Honorable Winnie, omalirizanga tongambye.
So let me say, in the end,
yes.
Once you are appointed, you are my boss. I report directly to the Secretary General. I sit in his chief executive board. Right?
Sure.
Now, your allegiance is to him and the United Nations. You swear in. You do not. You're not you're not a staff of your government, whether you like your government or not. And he has appointed people who are from the opposition in other countries because they are good candidates.
My producer says I have 2 minutes, but njagala kozesa dakiika ezo 2 ku bibuuzo 2. Ekisooka mu kifo ekyo, if you close your eyes, fenga Uganda, a very selfish question. Tufunyemu enkizo, if it is in terms of donations that come through, if it is in terms of service. I know you are a civil servant of the UN, but you're from here. Would you close your eyes and say, well, there's been a leverage for Uganda from here?
Oh yeah, plenty. I mean, there are some young Ugandans who have managed to get some jobs because I recommended them. I didn't go like the way you do in Uganda, writing cheats. But I said, put me down as your reference. If you interview well and reach the short list, I can write your and they ask me for a recommendation, I'll put in for you. I'll put in for some, they are there. But also in terms of the program here,
yes,
I have fought hard for getting some additional resources for our work, especially for communities that are working on HIV prevention and HIV treatment. I've done some things, but I cannot say these are mine. No, in the UN we are teams. I work through the team on the ground, I work through the regional team. So together we have supported Uganda.
I'll cut that. The last one. Do you see yourself on a particular day as a president of Uganda?
If Ugandans have chosen me, I can do the job. Really, I'm very, very able to do the job. I've been working at national, regional, global levels. I have a deep understanding of development.
Do you want to gun for it?
No, not at the moment.
Would we be able to cajole you to it?
Yeah.
If there was a group of 50, 20, 100 that said, Honorable Winnie Byanyima, offer yourself, would you?
If the conditions of elections are conducive to peaceful elections, I don't want to be in a process that is already predetermined.
Process eyo ya kulwanirira. Honorable Winnie Byanyima wagenda ne wegatta ku NRA in the process of delivering NRA mu government. Ne process
I'm not going to another bush to fight out another regime. No, I'm not going to the bush.
You can use the bush of an election.
No, but you see, we have to focus not on elections, but we have to focus on solving the problems of removing the obstacles to good elections. This is the focus we should have. This whole focus on the next election and the next election lends our opposition to compete with each other in an unfair process. I think putting a question on how do we cure the defects, not just on any elections, also in your space of media. You're all self-censoring. We do not have equal voice in the media. Some people can speak, some others are stopped. So we need to see across the board how do we remove the obstacles. But the elections are important because they're the gateway to having leadership teams. We need to look at that and try to solve that problem. I would rather spend my time now working with groups like, what did you call them, Situation Room, human rights groups and what have you, trying to correct the problems in the system. It's not useful to just be there competing in the system without improving it.
There's a feeling that Honorable Winnie Byanyima has been encouraging Dr. Kizza Besigye actually to withdraw from the politics. Is that right?
That's not something I can do. That's false. I support my spouse, my partner, my companion, my comrade, Dr. Kizza Besigye, to do the job he wants to do. I fully support him. I do not tell him stop. Why would I? He's dedicated his life to this. He wants to make a change for Uganda. Of course it does. But you know something? I would never tell him that. I didn't grow up like that. My father was elected at independence to be a member of parliament. Few years into independence, 16 members of his party walked away on one single day. He was left on the opposition with 4 other people. For 10 years in that parliament, there were 4 against the whole government. He would never step away. He would never step away from the role he had been chosen to do. So I am not a chicken. I don't step away every time there's a problem. And Kizza Besigye is also like that. If the job is tough, he just keeps on. He just tries to find other ways to do the job. If he's weakening, others will take over. But I never tell him to step back from fighting for justice. Never, never, never.
Uganda Eyenkya,